Well, I've got the house to myself. I don't know why I'm getting a latency here. Well, anyway, I got the house to myself, so I thought I'd make a video for my kids. And I know that this probably won't be any interest to those out here, but seeing I'm getting up in age, and a lot of my kids don't remember some of the history that we had, so I'd like to I'd like to share a few things with them here. Let me see if I can just pull this pull this one video over here first of all. Okay, now let me change screens. Okay, here's a picture of the old neighborhood. Here's a picture of a house that I lived in. It was on Hilbert Street. This was before 2004. This was 2026, I believe it is. I think I can zoom in. Yeah, I can see it on this one here. And actually, this is Google Map. This is Hilbert Street here. This was the old pattern shop that was across the street from our house. I'm just gonna go down the street here a minute here. Don't want to go too far here. I guess I did go a little too far. Let me come back just a hair here. Okay, here's the old house, 2004, South Hilbert Street. They got 2008, that was on the corner, I believe. Okay, anyway, this is 2004. I think, no, I guess I can't put it on there. I remember this old driveway here, but we used to haul wood from the pattern shop. There used to be a pattern shop up here, and where this gate is now, this used to be where they used to throw it out from the upper window here, and we used to load it in whatever we could find, the coaster wagon or whatever have you. We hauled it, we dumped it in the driveway right here, and this window was an old coal bin. We used to throw the wood down there, and I had a wood burner in the basement. We had an oil furnace too while we lived there too. It was a small house, but I remember when my dad bought this house, he paid I want to think $8,500 for it, and when I bought it, we, after the will, we split it, and I bought my half for my sister, and we had valued the house at $30,000 then. I'm gonna guess that it's probably 150,000 now, which is crazy. I mean, property has gone sky high, and the house I live in right now, I pay 22,000 for it, and it's valued at 225,000 now. Well, okay, let's just take a drive down the street here. I went just a little far, uh, right down the street here. I want to go down this street here. It's East Beecher Street. I just want to see, yeah, the old penny flats are still here yet. Here's the old penny flats. Ah, boy, they really fixed them up. They look pretty nice now. Boy, they were all dilapidated and whatnot by then. I'm just gonna go around the block here. This is Louis Alice. Louis Alice is still there yet, I believe. Okay, we're on South Alice Street right now, and South Alice and Stewart right here. This is Stewart Street. We used to go down here, and the kids used to play down in here. That was before all this was in there. The old cement company there. Yeah, let's go here. There's a. This is all an empty parking lot now. There used to be the Rotzes used to live here. There was a house here, and there was another house here, and this is where I hung out as a kid. And this was the parking lot for Louis Alice, and it came right up to the back of our house. They put a fence up there, and it looks like they might have taken it down now. I don't know if I can get into it. Yeah, I guess I can get into the parking lot here. Well, I don't know if we can see anything now. These were the back of the houses. I sure grew up quite a bit. I guess I'm not going to be able to see much here. I don't know if this, which house was which here. I'm thinking that I'm too far. Let me go back here. Okay. Wow. I guess you can't see nothing. Okay, let's just get back out on Stewart Street. Okay, this is the old bar. There used to be railroad tracks here that ran right up to the back of the bar. Boy, that sure changed. And that's where a railroad car went in the back, miscounted the cars, and ended up in the men's bathroom. And boy, it sure changed. And there for a while, there even used to be an old train car here. They turned into a restaurant. That's all gone now too. Well, I can't believe. Well, time moves on. Everything has changed. I'm just going to go right down the street here. And, yep, we used to live in this house too. This is on Stewart Street. I guess I got to go just a little bit further here. See if I can get in. Yep, there's the driveway. The only house here. Yep, we used to live in this house right here. And it was right next to the Starlight Bar, which was across the street. And this was the Starlight. Boy, I don't think that's there anymore. Wow. Northwestern. That sure changed. Wow, there used to be a parking lot here. And this, let's see, this is the cement company. I got to go a little bit further. I can remember I watched them build the storage for cement. I watched them build all these. They poured this all in one pour, and it was one cement truck after another that poured these things. And I can't believe how they went up. It was a matter of I want to say probably a couple weeks it took to build these, and it was ready mix back then. I don't know. This has all changed so much. Yeah, it don't even look the same anymore. So anyway, there's the old homestead that we lived in. I know there's other places that we lived in, and I'll try to look them up sometime and maybe even make another video of them. I'm just gonna minimize this for a minute here because I got some old pictures under here, and I'm just gonna go through the old pictures. Let's see if I can. This is a picture of me when I was just a little guy, and that's my mother. And I'm not going to go through them all here. I'll just pick out some of them here. This was my sister's wedding. This was taken in 1957. That's when she got married. She got married 3 years before me. This is my busha, my grandma, for my mother's side. And she could not even speak English. She spoke Polish. But I could talk to her because I knew enough Polish and she knew enough English so we could communicate anyway. There's my mother, taken in 1958. She had a little bird, Peepers. In fact, she had 2 or 3 birds, and she named them all Peepers. Until they died, she'd buy another one. My mother used to like parakeets. That brings back memories. Oh, this is me when I was in basic training, and this was in 1955. Yep, I remember that. I was at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. Okay, this was my graduation picture from grade school. There I am, right there in the middle. Oh, I wish I could remember all these guys' names, but I was talking about Rotz. I think he's in here someplace. Where is he here? There he is, right back there. That's the little guy right here. This is Mac and Jack Rosenberg. Their real names were Indulus and I can't remember the other ones, but couldn't even pronounce their names. Boy, can't remember their names anymore. That was 8th grade graduation. Oh, this was just some pictures when we were camping. I don't remember. Some friends from Milwaukee. That was Brittany. Okay, here's my dad. That picture that I showed you. Let's see if I can show it to you again here. Okay, show you this. Oh, where the heck is it? Must be behind this one here, huh? Let me minimize. Yeah, there it is. Okay, the picture was taken right here. My dad was standing right about where this truck was here, and this is that house I was telling you about, 2026, that we lived in, and I guess I gotta minimize this like this. Okay, that's that house right here, 2026. You can see it was in the wintertime. My dad was taking a picture of somebody. This picture was taken in 1940. Okay, it's another picture from basic training. Of course, that's me, a couple of the guys that were there with me. All right, this one here was my mother, Sally, who was a friend of my mom's and dad, Sally and Fritz. And they had a boy, his name was Freddie. And Freddie was a friend of mine. You might even see pictures of him. That's me, that's my mom. I don't even know who that guy is, but that was my dad's old tent. Okay, that was my niece, Barbara. She just went home to be with the Lord here not too long ago. She was pretty close to my age, and she had a daughter living up in Minneapolis, and she went up to visit, and she died up there when she was living up there. Okay, that's my dad and Sally. That's my sister, Pat. I think that no, I don't think that's me, but let's see here. Yeah, it might be. Yeah, it was me. My dad, friend Sally, and me, and my sister Pat. Okay, that's my mother. I don't remember where that one was taken. I was too young then. Probably wasn't even born yet. Okay, there, me and my eighth grade girlfriend. That was kind of one of my first girlfriends. Okay, these are a couple other friends of me. My old girlfriend. This was my old girlfriend here, and girlfriend and Don. That wasn't Don. Oh, Don, a friend's sister. Okay, yeah. Was, she was a Rotz too. Donnie Rotz and her. I can't remember her name though. Okay, this is my Aunt Jenny, uh, Mary Ann, and George, and me in the tub. That was her kids and me. We called this our tub. This was our swimming pool in the backyard. No, that's the old days. Okay, there's Donnie Rotz, and there's me. We were good friends back then. We had the old tin shed back there. This is 2004 South Hilbert Street, and that's my sister. This was my eighth grade graduation, and this was a friend of my sister's. I don't remember her name. Okay, this was my older sister, which was a half sister, June. June died at a very young age. She had cancer. This is her and her husband, Gordy. So June and Gordy. Petroshinsky was their last name. Okay, there's my dad and my mom and my Uncle Pete. That was from my mother's side. That was my mother's brother. And there I am at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas again. I was home on leave. This is Arnie. I don't remember who that was. That was my old girlfriend there. This was taken in my dad's basement. Okay, can't remember her name, but I really like this gal here. I dated her for a while. Uh, where is uh, there's my mother. I'm trying to think. This might have been my sister's wedding. Yeah, 57 in September. I don't remember exactly when she got married either. Okay, this is our wedding party, and we had our party in my mom and dad's basement. Uh, Calvin, that was my brother-in-law that was married to my wife's oldest sister. Uh, there's Freddie right there. Remember I mentioned Sally and Fritz. This is Freddie. I can't tell who all these other guys were. I can't even remember anymore. Too many years passed. There's my sister, June, my Boosha, my grandma, my Auntie Hazel. We used to really like Auntie Hazel, and that's my mother. We can't see her because she's had her back towards us. And that was my Aunt Marty over here, I believe. Can't remember everybody. Oh, there's me in my suit when I was a kid. There's my sister Pat, and oh, my mother's sister, but I can't think of her name. Okay, there's my sister Pat. I had run my arm through a wash machine wringer, and that was my cousin Bobby. Okay, my dad was born in 1899. My dad in his early 20s. My dad in the late 20s, early 30s. Picture's kind of bad, but that was my dad. You can see, kind of judge from the time from the old cars. Uh, the two guys that owned this tavern, one was a midget, and I could remember that, and that was over by Mitchell Street, I think. Now there's my dad. He drank a lot. I remember he had this bird thing here for pouring whiskey out of a whiskey bottle, but he had the parakeet used to drink whiskey with him, and then he'd fall over. And it was kind of funny. This is 1958. That little guy that was on the picture here, that was a neighbor, and that was their son Danny. There I am. I was home on leave, and that was my sister. And that was between basic training and going back to Texas. I went to Dias Air Force Base in Abilene, and then I went to and I came from Lackland, and I went to Dias Air Force Base in not San Antonio, but Lackland Air Force Base. Trying to think of Abilene, Texas. Okay, there's my dad and Fritz. This was taken in 1962. They fished a lot together. There's my mom and my dad. I don't remember what year that was. There I was. I was still home on leave, but I was in my civvies and I was teasing my mother. I used to do that a lot. There's Barbara. That one picture I showed you, they said that she went home to be with the Lord. That's Barbara, and that is her brother, David. David and Barbara both are dead now. There's June, Barbara, and David. Okay, here's my aunt is taken at 68. This was Aunt Hazel and Aunt Margaret. Both from my dad's side. This was my dad's sister and my dad's sister-in-law. This was Ashton's wife. They had no kids. There's my brother Jerry, Gerald. We always called him Jerry. He's in the military. That's my dad. He used to smoke one of those little holders for a cigarette, so he didn't have to put the cigarette in his mouth. And there's Fritz, and this fellow here was completely deaf. I don't remember what his name was, but he did pretty good. He could read lips, and he was. It was hard to understand. This is my Aunt Jenny. That's from my mother's side. That would have been for I don't know if it was her sister or sister-in-law. I think George was her brother. Okay, there's Sally. Oh, there's my Uncle George. That was my dad's brother. We used to call him Windy. Yeah. The reason for that is he used to tell so many tales. Okay, there's one of my dad's boats. That was Pat. One or two, I don't remember. And that was taken by Jones Island. There's a picture of me in 1940. That's a pretty long time ago. And there's my brother Jerry. Now that was taken back in the, let's see, it had been in the 1920s. My brother was 20 years older than I was, and I was born in 38. So he was born in 20. He was born in the 1918, 1917, something like that. That's my sister Pat, and she was just little. 1940. There's Jerry and Jimmy. They were in show business together. They did some pole-to-pole stuff, and my brother was into circuses for a while when he got out of the service. He was quite talented. There's my mom and dad. Let's see, that would have been taken in the 1930s. There's me after I ran my arm through a wash machine wringer at a neighbor's house. Okay, this is me on Iwo Jima. I ran this bus off the top of Mount Suribachi, ended up paying for it, court-martialed, drinking and problems, is what it is. Times pass. Now that was another one taken at Lackland Air Force Base. Okay, there's Elmer Leslie and Arnie and myself. I got to tell you a story about Elmer Leslie. We were real good friends, and we were going to go into service together. We were going to go in the Navy. And I was 16 years old at the time, and so was Elmer. And we went out hunting, and he shot an arrow, and we were bow hunting, and shot an arrow, and he hit a railroad track, and it broke the tip off, but I didn't know it. And he walked way down the tracks, and he picked up his arrow, and he shot it back in my direction. And I watched it coming and watched it coming, and what I ended up doing is I ended up putting my hand in the air, and the arrow hit me right in the hand. It didn't hurt. I mean, it drew some blood and everything, but it didn't go through or anything because it didn't have a tip on it. And I got so mad at him and decided I was going to go enlist in the Air Force, and I did. Lo and behold, Elmer went down and he enlisted in the Air Force. We didn't even know one another had enlisted. And we ended up in basic training together. And then Elmer went his way and I went my way. And then what ended up happening is I was going over to Japan, and we stopped in Hawaii, and I was laid over for a little bit there, and I run into him at the airport in Hawaii, and I didn't see him again until I was on an R&R over in Japan, and we ran into one another in Japan. I was stationed on Iwo Jima at the time, but I was on an R&R. It's just kind of a story from the past. Okay, I'm going to skip that one. That was just a fishing trip. Okay, that's again Lackland Air Force Base. This was taken on the top. No, it was taken at the foot of Mount Suribachi on Iwo Jima in 1958. All right. Okay, this is windy. My dad named this boat after his brother George. This was me and my friend Charlie in front of my dad's boat. We lived right here. I can't remember the address anymore. It was in Bayview on the south side someplace, but I guess it doesn't matter. I don't even remember who that is. Let me go back. Did I put a thing on there? No, I didn't even write anything on it because I don't know who it is. Oh, that was my yeah, brain dead here for a minute. Aunt Marty, Ashton's wife, and that's me. And we caught a bunch of real little fish. I had to clean them all. There's my dad and me in front of that house that I can't remember what the address was. I don't think I can even zoom in on it. No, there's no way of zooming in on it. Even if I could, I don't think I could read it. Oh, that's my mom and me. I was goofing off again. There's my dad, Fritz, Sally, and their friends, and don't know who the friends were. This was taken back probably in 30s, about the time I was born. Okay, it's another one from graduation from grade school, 8th grade. That was me. That suit, you see how it fits me. It's kind of baggy. I got married in that suit. Okay, there's some friends of mine. Clarence Breening's sister and boyfriend. Oh, that was Marvin. That's his brother Marvin. Just some friends. Uh, that was Clarence and his girlfriend. And that was Marvin and his girlfriend. I don't remember their names. Clarence Breening. There's my dad fishing on Jones Island. I don't even know if that's all there. He had this thing where he could fish with all these poles at one time, and he had double hooks on all of them. There was no limit, and he used to catch a lot of perch down there. There's my mom holding a cake. I don't know where we were going. Okay, that was taken on Iwo Jima. That was one of the Buddhas that the Japanese had on there when they occupied the island before the invasion. Okay, this old trailer, I lived in this trailer when I was on Iwo Jima. And, tell you a story about a rat that ran right through that door. And those rats were big on that island. But anyway, I had to fix my door after that. Some guys, we were up on the top of Mount Suribachi Bay, and a couple of the guys I was stationed with. Flat tops were in, and I had one too. Okay, that was my home. For 10.5 months, I lived in that thing. My bed was up here, my desk was right here, and that's the steps I was sitting at when I took that other picture. Okay, that was a friend of mine over in Iwo Jima. I didn't want to stay in the Quonset huts with all the guys. That's why I moved into that trailer. Okay, that was Pat number two, that boat that we seen that little cabin. That was my dad's third boat, I think it was. That was my cousin. Can't even remember names anymore. Now, there's some friends of my mom's. I don't know any of them. A friend of my dad, and he worked at Ellis Chalmers with my dad. That was my mother. That's the driveway. One of my dad's old cars. By the way, before I move on, let me go back to hit the button. That was a mail chute right there. Uh, I was small enough that I could crawl through that mail chute when the house was locked. I was a skinny kid. Okay, my sister's wedding in '57. That was Tony and Pat. Tony just passed away not too long ago. Okay, that's Mary Ann and her brother, and why can't I think of his name? It may come to me. I don't know. Okay, there's Arnie and me. That was my dad. That was Pat. Oh, that was Windy. That was Windy, the boat's name. That was my dad. And I can't tell who that was running the motor. There's Sally. Oh, my Aunt Julie. That's my mother's sister. There's my mother. You can see these were all taken back in the 20s, 30s. No, these were taken in the 30s. My mother was born in the teens. There's my sister June and Pat. Okay, there's Carl Kress. That was a friend of my dad's. And my dad used to drive cars on and off the Clipper. And this was the old Milwaukee Clipper. Yeah, I don't know who he was, but I remember Carl. Okay, there's my dad and my dad's boat. Another friend unknown. Carl Kress, it's Carl. And that was my dad's car that pulled it. That was, I think that was an old DeSoto or whatever. Okay, power plant in Milwaukee. That was the old power plant. Okay, that was at Tony's wedding. Yeah, they were goofing around, or it could have been a reception, the shower or whatever. Okay, there's some bullheads and some other fish that we caught. That was my mother and my aunt Maud. We camped out a lot as a kids. Okay, they were cutting down a tree in one of the old houses we lived at. That's my mother. My sister's wedding, 57. And there's peepers. That was one of my dad or my mother's. Old birds looking in a mirror was taken in the kitchen. Yeah, there's some relatives or friends of relatives I don't even remember anymore. Some pictures you can't hardly see. That was my mother. Okay, there's my dad, and there's Gordy, Sally, and I don't know who all these other people are. It was in my dad's basement. There's my Uncle George, who was married to my Aunt Jenny. Ah, there's Ashton. My Uncle Ashton. Don't have many pictures of him. There's my dad. Okay, there's me. Herb Jr. Here they are cutting down that tree again. I don't have my pictures sorted very good. There's my dad. I don't know who all these other guys are. Freddie. I don't remember who that was. Okay, there's Fritz again, goofing off. There's me in the late 40s, playing in the snow. That was my Uncle Artie's dog. Okay. I don't know who's fooling around with them, but I don't know. There's me in an air tube. There's the old Milwaukee Clipper again. Sally, my mother's friend. This was one of my sister's friends. These were some neighbors, and we lived on Howell Avenue. Again, I like the cars in these pictures. And Maud, my mother, my dad, way in the front. I don't know what some of these pictures were taken. Okay, there's my Aunt Maud, Uncle George, and Bobby, cousin, and I don't know who's who anymore. That was Windy. That was Uncle George bending over the boat. We took a picture of his back end. I don't know who these are. There's my sister June in the window. We lived downstairs and she lived upstairs. 2026 Hilbert Street. There's my mom, my dad fooling around. Oh, there's my mother and David Petrushinsky. David was Barbara's brother. My sister June's kids. My dad laying on the couch. Mary Ann, that was my dad, or my mother's family, the cousin. There's my dad with the bird. There's my Uncle Ashton, I think it is. He's fishing down on the island. There's my dad, his brother Ashton. I don't know who that is. Let me go back to the other ones that I have under unknown. Yeah, I had unknown. I didn't remember who it was. Just some friends that my dad worked with. And I took pictures at Alex Chalmers. Okay, this one was taken in 62. That was my mom. That was Tony, my sister's husband. My Uncle Freddie, my dad, and Freddie's boy, Roger. Okay, Aunt Jean, Uncle Joe, Mary Ann. Okay, and I don't know who all the other ones were at the table. Okay, Aunt Agnes and Michael. Michael, okay. I couldn't think of that name. There it is, Michael. Glad I put that on there. 62, that was my mom and dad. I don't have anything on this one. That was my dad here, my mom, and yeah. Um, well, it don't make any difference. Anyway, my dad, Uncle Ashton, Aunt Marty, my sister, June, my sister, and this was on my first Holy Communion, where my mother raised us Catholic. My dad, and that's David Petrushinsky when he was little. And some more pictures of the backyard. There's my mom and some friends. A picture of the old boat. There's Marianne and George. Georgie were my cousins. There's Carl Kress, a friend of my dad's. I don't know who these were. There's Marianne and George again. That was Jenny and George's, my aunt and uncle's kids. This is me and my dad in 1940. Little Irvin, Big Irv. I don't know what that one was. And I have no idea who that was. But you can see it was taken in the 20s. Ah, tell by their outfits in the cars. Okay, that was unknown. That's the unknown. That was my Aunt Julie and my Aunt Agnes. Okay, there's June, my mom, and Gordy sitting on Pat 2. Or Pat 1. I'm sorry, that was the first Pat. There's me coming in Pat 1. I guess my dad named all the boats after my sister. Well, there's Fred and my dad. Boy, this picture was taken quite a while ago. I don't know. They were pretty young on that picture. Let me go back once. That was Freddie. That was me. Okay. I guess it wasn't that long ago. It was Fritz, friend, Freddie, Fritz's son, and then Fritz, and then myself, and then my dad. I could recognize most of them on there. And this was my sister June's youngest daughter, Lindsay. I got her as a friend on Facebook yet. There's my dad. He's got a belly like I do now. Okay. Mother's family, Aunt Agnes. It was a friend of Marty's and Uncle Ashton. There's Uncle Ashton and Aunt Marty. There's June and Gordy holding Barbara and launching the boat. That was Sally. I don't know what she's holding up there. My sister Pat. My brother took some of these pictures. He was in town one time. He took them. That was a bar owner. Bar that my dad went to. That's my sister Pat and myself. Okay, Lindsay and Hazel, my dad's sister Karen, sister June's two youngest girls. Okay, so that was Lindsay and Karen and my Aunt Hazel. So, yep, my mom and her brother George. There's George. There's my mom and her friend. There's my dad, my sister, and myself. And like I said, I was a skinny little kid. There's actually, they owned a grocery store across the street. This little guy, he was a midget. I don't remember what their names were. There's my dad upstairs. We actually lived upstairs at one time. We moved downstairs, and then June moved upstairs. It was a big snowstorm we had back. And that's my Aunt Jenny. That's my mom and me. Boy, these pictures were taken a long time ago. Okay, Fritz, that's Freddie, and I don't know who that is, putting the motor on the boat. Who that has? Okay, Freddie and me. Okay, that's me. Apparently, it's me. We're taking the motor off the boat. We weren't putting it on. Okay, there's my sister, myself, and a friend, Sally. My dad. That's my dad there. Like I said, this guy here was deaf, but I can't remember their names anymore. I was so little back then. I don't even know. These are friends of my sister's. There's my dad with the bird again. My dad, Fritz. That was the garage that was in the back of 2004. That was my cousin Marianne. And there's Pat, her friend. That's me. I don't know. It's Sally, I think. These are kind of blur anyway. That was my mom and dad. And my one aunt. Okay, this one here is Uncle George and Fritz. Just a Christmas tree. Whoop, let me go back once here. Here's an old television that we had. We had one that was even older. This had a round screen. It was a Zenith. There's some camping pictures. Dad's tent. That was my uncle, my mom. Okay, that's my Aunt Julie, my mom and her friends. And there's my mother's family and my grandma on the far right. Okay, these were some of my cousins from my mother's side. I don't even remember. And my dad. That's little Michael, the one I couldn't remember his name. Okay, that was taken on Jones Island. They were all fishing. My Auntie Idas. I don't have many pictures of her. And that's my Aunt Maud, my mom. Okay, that was taken in the backyard of that house. I can't remember the address, too. That was my sister's first Holy Communion. Okay, that's my Aunt Julie. That's David, Barbara, my sister Pat, Lindsay, and myself. And I don't know who that one was. It turned around, I can't see. Okay, just going to skip some of these. There's Rita. It was a neighbor girl and friend of my sister's. And I don't know what's going on here. Somebody's kissing somebody. Maybe I can see that. Oh. Okay, the far right is Margo. That was my brother Jerry's wife, and my brother Jerry's wife. And this was June's daughter, Karen, I think, when she had her first communion. I don't know what that is. One of my dad's old cars. There's my Aunt Hazel. There's Bobby Robert Risch. My mother's two sisters. My other sister. This was Sally and unknown. That was 2026 Hilbert Street. Took a lot of pictures. We lived right on that corner and lived on the other corner almost. Okay, there's Barbara and there's my sister June and Gordy and my dad. Okay, the old tent. Okay, I'm just going through some of these because I don't really remember a lot of them. Marianne and Jenny. This was down in Texas again at 55. That was my brother Jerry sitting there. The one in the middle here. Don't know who that is. Don't know who that is. Okay, Uncle Artie and my Aunt Jenny. This was Pat's shower, I guess. There's Sally and Fritz and then a friend of theirs. There I am, Sally and my mom. Okay, I got some unknown, my mom and Uncle Ashton, my dad's oldest brother. There's Fritz and Sally Obadiah, their last name was. There's my dad. Okay, Uncle George. I got most of these named, and I got them online, so you can see which ones they are. That's my mom floating in her tube. That's Fritz, Pat's wedding. Somebody's turned off blur. Okay, that's Barbara, David, and Gordy. And there's, that was David Petrushinsky, David. There's Pete, is holding me. He used to tickle me in that, I remember that. Okay, that was me in my little uniform. There's my sister Pat and Gordy. There's me, my sister Pat, and Barbara. Here's my Aunt Ines. Don't have many pictures of Aunt Ines. Okay. Uncle Ashton used to be a cop at one time. This picture here, my dad had some fancy shoes on. They were button-ups. He had old Stetson hat. And that's his friend Carl. And that's my dad's two brothers, Artie and George, behind him there. Here's my Aunt Hazel. She was married to a fellow that had quite a bit of money. And she was pretty rich. Okay, that's me. Got my dad's beer. Oh no, that's Uncle George and Uncle Artie and George. That was little Georgie had that. That wasn't me. Okay, these are, I have no clue. That was a friend. We were up north fishing, got a lot of northerns. Another old picture from the 30s, which I don't know. Fritz, my mom, and a friend. My mom's family. Unknown. Then I got Michael and Roseanne, my George, Mary Ann, and Uncle George. My sister Pat. The only one I knew on here was Margo. That was my brother's wife. There's Karen and Lindsay. There's my mom. Okay, Uncle Joe, two girls. I'm just going to skip through. I got so many pictures. My sister June. Uncle Pete, I think it was. Oh, Uncle Al. That was Uncle Al. Don't have many pictures of him either. I think that was Julie's husband. From the 1930s, and I didn't know anybody back then because I wasn't born. Oh, 38. Okay, that's my brother Jerry is standing in front of Aunt Maud. That's when she was younger, and that was my brother Jerry. And like I said, he was 20 years older than I was. And I don't know who the rest of them were. And that was long before my time. That's my dad and uncle. There's me, my mother, and her brothers, Uncle L, and then I don't know who this is. There's my dad and friend. There's Barbara, and she's holding Pat, my sister. These are my two sisters. I don't have many pictures of them together, do I? There's my mom and her brother George, and he was kissing her. That's me playing in the snow. My dad. Know what they were doing. There's my Aunt Agnes and Uncle McKee. That was my mother's sister and brother-in-law. There's June and Barbara. Fritz and I don't know. There's Freddie. There's Pat. That was me and Lachlan. There's my dad in his basement. There's my dad, Margo, and I think that's my mom. That was me, my dad. There's that car furry again. Barbara and David. Unknown. Okay, Sally and Fritz. These are all taken on the steps of 2026 Hilbert Street. Well, it's my mother, Florence, Hazel, Marty and uh, Fred. Oh, that's my Uncle Fred and my dad's other brother. There's my mom. There's my dad and Barbara and Grandpa Herb. There's my dad. I was taken in the basement. I don't know what was going on there. This was in '57. Well, this would have been Pat's wedding, yeah. Margaret and Uncle Ashton. It's just me. There's a friend of my dad's. There's my mother, Sally, and could be Sally, I think. And Jean, Uncle Joe. Okay. There's a picture of Dean and Karen and Danny. There's my Busha, my grandma, my sister Pat, Barbara, myself, and Georgie and Marianne. Yeah, it was my mother, dad, uncle, friends. Yeah, holding up some fish, huh? Okay. The two guys ran the store, the butcher shop, across the bar from Burnham Street in Milwaukee in 1940. These two guys ran that, and there was no such thing as guy. This guy could add faster than a calculator could. I couldn't believe the way he could add. And they would add everything up. That's what they did with a piece of paper and pencil. Okay, Uncle George, Pat, 3150 Howell Avenue in Milwaukee. This was in 1949, and I was 11 years old, and we really had a big snowstorm that year. There's my mom and a neighbor, my dad, bunch of fish we got when it's up north, and some birds went hunting. My dad's workshop. That was me. I was crying. I'm just going through these pretty fast right now. That was my Uncle George when he was in a hospital. He had TB. And that was Karen, my daughter, my dad, and me. The bird in between us as peepers. My dad, Uncle Joe. Okay, Barbara and David, or David, June, and Gordy. Okay, this was my sister's wedding. I stood up for the wedding. That was me there, and that's Tony, Pat's husband. That was the wedding picture. Okay, my Aunt Julie. There's Pat and some friends, and my dad, my Busha, Uncle George, my mom and her bird. Okay, that wasn't Uncle Pete, that was Uncle Al. I got that wrong on here. So if you see this picture, that's Uncle Al. Okay, Rosemary, Michael, Uncle Mickey, and Agnes. Okay, there's Mariana George. Okay, that's my sister, my mom, my dad, and my Busha. Okay, Aunt Marty, my sister Pat, myself, and my mom. Most of these I try to put some names on it. That was my dad's basement. I don't even remember what that was. Okay, that's just me. I was home on leave in '55. I was taken in '55. That was me on the top of Mount Sarabachi. Uncle Freddie. My cousin Rogers, Aunt Marty, Uncle Freddie, my dad's cousins. Both of these were from Michigan. I don't even know. They came over for a visit. That was myself and my mom. I'm on leave. My sister Pat, myself. I'm just going to go through these. I was home on leave. Just going back 1 second here. That was a 28-inch waist, by the way. Never see that again. Okay, there's my dad and mom, and well, they're all named, so you can read them. I tried to go through all the old pictures and put as many names on it as I could. That was a trip I made to Canada in '73. My dad. That was my brother Jerry in 1930. My father's mother in 1930. I can't even remember her name, but she was an old German woman. Lived on Howell Avenue, and boy, she was mean. That's all I can remember. She was mean. That was my dad. He was with another woman, and my mother cut it off, I guess. Aunt Jean, Uncle Joe. Couldn't believe I got all these old pictures, huh? Uncle Pete. Yeah, me, Barbara. Oh, this was my grandmother from my dad's side. Wow. She was a mean, mean woman. You can almost see that. But this was Uncle George's wife, and we don't even know who she was. Taken in 1930. Then he didn't marry after that, then. Uncle Artie. That's my brother Jerry and Jim. Just a bunch of fish. I got names on a lot of these. Bet you're tired of looking at pictures already. 1957, huh? Okay, I'm going to let the rest of them go because you can look at the rest of them. I got them all online, and you can find them on my Google Photos. That's when we shipped out, going back after we were finished with basic training, and we were heading out. My Uncle Artie was he was a conductor on a streetcar for a while too. That was my mother when she was pregnant with me. That's my sister Pat. That's a real old one there. Mabusha. That's my brother Jerry and Margo. They were in show business together, and that was one of their pictures they took for one of the flyers they had. Okay, this one here is the last picture. This is my brother Jerry. Took a picture with a guy in the Navy, and this picture was taken, I want to say back in 40s. He was in World War II, and really had some war stories, and I learned a lot from him. Okay, with that said, we went through all the pictures, and like I said, I made this audio or this video for my kids, so it might be pretty boring to everybody else, but that's who I made it for. Okay, I'm gonna end it.